Hello there, fellow gamers. So this is my new recap of the game, Hold the Line, the RTS game in the browser that I'm making. And I don't know if I should call this daily recap because I do it every couple of days whenever I have some good stuff to show. And this time I have some great news because I started to make my to implement like my actual game design and my philosophy in what should make an RTS game pretty good and pretty playable. The game Hold the Line. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna change the name here into something like Battalion because I changed my idea of making a realistic company fears clone. I'm no longer gonna make World War II realistic units because what I'm gonna really make is I'm gonna keep the realistic side of the units and I'm gonna make another direction that use I'm gonna explain in a bit, but like we would have two paths. Like one is the realistic units with infantry and tanks. Another one is using electricity. And so, but first I want to talk about the whole project here. What I'm building an RTS game, fully featured RTS game that works right in the browser. The whole thing inspired from me trying to play with my friends in a like lightweight RTS game, but we like find it hard to connect and network and play together, and we pretty much couldn't find a decent RTS game to play right in the browser, and it would be like lightweight, just click a button and it works. So I started making this project, a fully featured RTS game that's just 2D, so no fancy graphics, but like the whole effort is put in the gameplay. But I this is pretty much first to me. I haven't made games before, and I'm not using game engines here. I'm using a technology called WebGL. It's like OpenGL, but in the browser. It's some kind of API. I'm not gonna talk too much about this. And so the whole UI is pretty HTML and CSS. And my last video, we were talking about the whole updates were about like HUD and UI updates, which you, dear gamers, don't care about. But this time I have like I really started implementing my game design here, and I added even more. When you see the Sprite studio here, you're gonna understand what I'm building here because I'm building a game engine, not just like a specialized game engine that I could use in building even more games with Skyview. It would have like networking setup. It would have all the stuff. I'm going to show you this in the Sprite Studio in the end of the video because this is where I would be using to add the sprites. Because right now I'm using just some circular nodes and stuff. So let's go into the single player and explain what have I accomplished. But wait, let me first run the dev mode so that I can use cheats because I've implemented cheats to just for testing purposes. Okay, so let's go into single player. I showed you this that I've added like, let's go full screen first. Okay, so let's choose the balanced map because that's the one I'm using for testing. I don't want to show you bugs right now. You know, the 1v1v1 works, but let's just test from this one. Can we take, no, I'll start with normal. Oh, I'm recording with in my ultra wide screen right now. I'm not sure if that's gonna be uploaded to YouTube without issues. I don't want to record again, to be honest. I need this to be like one shoot, one upload and get over with. I don't want to go into editing and stuff and all the boring stuff. Okay, let's start the game and show you what I have actually made here. So when you take this is the engineer. This is what you use in building stuff. You first create, so I've added, so yesterday I had, like the last time I had the military stuff here, the military factories, the barracks. So what I've added is the power, uh, the power buildings, which is pretty much inspired from the game industry. The obviously the greatest open source game ever made. It's just a bit boring to play alone, and it's not built around 1v1. I know it has maps with 1v1, but so I've implemented this and trying to see if it would fit in an RTS game. So this is like the basic power generator. This generates power, but it doesn't connect. If you see here, you would see the production is 0 in for the headquarters. Okay, how do you connect the headquarter to the solar panel? Need to zoom in to see. Okay, I cannot zoom in for the HUD. So you pretty much select here the solar, then you have the node. You create node to connect the headquarter with power. Now you see we have plus for production and -1 because the headquarter by default consumes -1, consumes 1 power. Okay, let's create the engineer because the electricity would have like really cool units. You're gonna see in a bit. Let's create another engineer and try to capture this point to get more manpower. And we will need also, wait, let me keep this one. Let's create barracks to capture points. Also, if you see, when we are creating, wait, let's keep this building, the barracks, without connecting into power. See, because it has power off. The gunner would be very slow to generate here. Look, it's very slow. If we want to speed it up, we connect the barracks with power. But then the power are just wasting. If we have like extra power generated here than the consumed ones, we are pretty much losing it. What do we need to do to store this power is to build a battery. Battery is your economy. Your stored economy of electricity. As long as you are not consuming power, the battery would be building. As you see the animation here, it's building already, okay? So I've added this cool little character, little boy here with my sprite generator. This is actually my drawing. And about the gunner, I've added a very important feature that if I click Z here for attack, the gunner doesn't have infinite ammo. What he does here, actually, he does have an infinite weapon, but it's very slow. He switches weapon from here. This is his special. Oh, look at this. Look at this beautiful art here. I should work as an artist. This is his pistol. Pistol is pretty infinite, but it's very slow and it has lower range. Let me switch here to the other one to see. Wait, actually, oh, there's a bug here that I think what happened when I changed the texture look. But the basic here is that he has two weapons. He has the rifle and he has a pistol. He uses pistol when he has no ammo. And if you wanted to reload, he goes to the headquarters and he automatically reloads. And the other thing he can reload from is you can select an engineer and go into defensive and create a supply yard. Supply yard doesn't have infinite ammunition, but it like recharges itself by time. So you can just go rush your enemy by capturing nearby strategic points. And then when your enemy, when your army, because you can't rush, go with one army, because if you like go here and try to attack his headquarters, he's gonna run out of ammo and he wouldn't do much damage with his secondary weapon. Let's take a look at this here. Let me just use this engineer first to capture the fuel thing to make to make tanks, because the big feature here is the Tesla tank and the mobile battery, because this is where the fun starts with the electric expansion. Okay, so here he did switch to the secondary weapon. He doesn't do any damage, almost very low damage. Okay, so what we will need to do to actually start to rush your enemy is to take like the engineer and go here, and you need to capture a point, because you cannot build a supply yard in anywhere. You can only build in your own lands. For the main buildings, you can build in anywhere of the own lands, but it needs to be connected to your headquarters. So you can build barracks here, but not in this what we are going to capture, this area here. So let our engineer build the capture this point. Until he does, we can take this engineer and capture the other point. You see, if I did capture this one without taking the strategy point, it would be isolated from my main base, and I will not receive any resources from it. So what I need to do is to create a gunner and take the gunner and capture this point to make it connected to my base. The gunner here, he totally takes points faster than engineers because engineers are used for building stuff. And so now since we have taken this point, we can now make a supply yard here for recharging our. Okay, so the point got connected because the victory points are owned to the player with the most units surrounding it. Since I have 1, 2, 3, like 3, and he only has 1 point connected, I get to have the victory points. So now once I get closer to this supply yard, I'll start receiving the ammunition. I'll start recharging my gunner, and now I can switch back to the rifle, as you can see here, and I can go attack again. But the rifle, the supply yard is limited, unlike the headquarters, so it can support only a squad like of 4 or 5 soldiers at a time. You need to build more of it to be able to like rush. This is why I would call the game a battalion, because you make a battalion here with supply yard. Maybe I would like introduce upgrades to heal my enemies. This would be like a mini headquarters that you put in the front. You need to make sure where battles are going to happen. But now this is the realistic part of the army of the game. The second part is about electricity. So we have here the solar panels. We can build another more advanced power generator, is the petrol generator, which can only be built in your fuel points that are connected to the headquarters. So I cannot just in the beginning of the game, I cannot take the enemy fuel points and start building the petrol generators. And so now we have this very strong fuel generator. How do we connect this to our base? You do that with nodes. So you make nodes here. I added you can just drag and drop, and it will keep building nodes until it reaches your base. And the engineer automatically finds path to the next needed to build building. As you can see here, our production right now is +4. Take a look at what we would reach when we get to connect. Okay, we have +84 because this is a very strong building, but it has weak points that these nodes can be needed to be defended, and the enemy could target them easily. Okay, now let's go for the other expansion, the Tesla tank and the electric army. So let's first create the war factory, military tank factory. Okay, and we should get more batteries to support this building. I would need a node to make it build faster. Okay, so we will need to connect it with power with a node here. Now we have 2 units that when we already have these tanks, they work normally, and I still haven't implemented the recharging stuff, and still trying to think what secondary weapons or what features we would give them. But now let's get 1 Tesla tank and 1 battery mobile or mobile battery. I'm drinking green tea because I'm healthy. You should too. No sugar. I actually haven't drank any sugar or used sugar for the past 5 years in my hot drinks. Let's put the waypoint here to see an uncharged Tesla tank. Okay, so this is Tesla tank. It starts with empty charging bar. So if we try to shoot now, it wouldn't. Just one shot and it cannot shoot anymore. What we need to do to recharge it is to get near any node or any building and it start recharging. But how do we use that in the battlefield? We basically create this tank. This is the battery tank. So we recharge it, and the battery tank could like recharge the Tesla tank like 5 times. And so this is the weak point of the this is the weak point of the Tesla attacks or of the electricity attacks. Now, if we attacked with this and if we consumed its electricity like this, we can now get closer with the battery mobile and it will recharge the tank, but it still gets consumed. It still gets consumed, so you'd like many of those, and the enemy can easily target those in the beginning of the battle. So my philosophy is to use the Tesla attacks to become like more of a defensive units, and the realistic other units is the attack or the front lines units, and these would be like the defensive part because they are very strong. These should be like anti-infantry, and it should does some good deal of damage to tanks, but it's basically an anti-infantry. It should have like a chaining effect where it hits it affects every surrounded infantry. But the thing is, if you wanted to really attack with it, it doesn't last long. It shoots like 5 times, so you'd need to build nodes all the way and secure them to your enemy. And this map here is small. For a realistic map, in my mind, it would be like large. So these are pretty much the features I have implemented in the past couple of days. So maybe I wanted to show you this like cheat menu here that I could use that I'm using for testing. I don't know if the recording video is very small, but this is one part, and another part that I have made also. So I've used this like if I wanted to give myself more resources, if I wanted to build like a dummy building for testing, like I can put barracks here, but then the AI would like, this AI used to be good, but then when I started adding more units, more features, I've not yet implemented them in the AI code. So I can also like see the path finding feature to see how my units react to my clicking, like how do they find paths, the shortest path algorithm here. And so one other thing that I have added is the Sprite studio that I've talked about. So here it tells me, wait, let me move the camera. Here I can see every unit here. And the way I've added this, I have not really written a fully featured pixel art generator. I've used an embedded I don't remember actually. I don't actually remember the actual tool I've used here, but it's like a repo I found in GitHub, and I implemented here it in my project. And every unit I have, it would give me like a canvas with the actual. Wait, let me move this here with the actual size I need for the sprite. Maybe a gunner. A gunner requires 2 sprites, one with rifle and one with gunner. I think this is very useful for me because I like to automate things and stuff. So that's pretty much what I've done in the past couple of days. The thing is, I don't get to work on this all the time. I will work when I finish my actual full-time job. So I'm not sure what I'm going to implement next, but maybe I'm going to work on the textures and making it more realistic. One thing that I do know that I need to implement like a tech center where we make updates to our units. but I want the text center to be like direction oriented. Like if you choose to make um, if you choose to make upgrades to the in the technological or the electrical direction, or you choose to make updates in the path of the other path of the realistic infantry or tank. And I need to work on more balancing features, like in the war factory. Let me give myself some fuel here to be able to build the war factory. I don't think I've showed the tank, the actual tanks in the other video that I've made. Let me add some power here. Maybe let's speed up the game a bit. Works. So this is the heavy tank. The heavy tank, I need it to be like an anti-tank and anti-building unit, but it should also has a good effect in when attacking so enemies, because now it's very slow. It can be botched. That's why it's weak. But what I really do want to make is to make this tank you'll get the infantry units to fall down. That would be the super effect when fighting soldiers. So I need to add some like falling down animation. I'm still not sure how would I implement this, but I think that would be like a really good feature, an interesting feature in the tank. And maybe I would speed up the bullets a bit here, because they are very easily dodgeable in the actual game, which making it like really slow. And I need to add another infantry unit, the rocket launcher. But the rocket launcher, the rocket unit should actually, it would also have finite ammo, but it would has the secondary weapon is melee attacking, and his melee attacking he wears like, this is pretty much inspired from Red Alert 3. So he would be wearing like an electric gloves that he can one shot, not one shot, but he does a great great effect against buildings and tanks, and it may require electricity, but so he could attack with electricity or he could attack with ammo. So he'd be like both ways kind of unit. So yeah, I think this would be like a very fun unit to make. So yes, that was it for today. Today's Wednesday. I think I started developing this game last Wednesday or last Thursday, but I only work weekends. So yeah, that was it for today. See you. If you really, I would really appreciate it if you made some comments telling me if I'm making something. If you think this is an interesting project, this is pretty much a hobbyist project that I would pretty much open source it. I'm not sure yet, but that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. And I'm still trying to make an architecture that fits as both a game engine, and I would use the game engine to make this game, but I could use the game engine in other projects as well, like make MOBA game, like make League of Legends clone, 2D clone that runs pretty optimized in the browser. Yeah. So yes, that's it. See you soon.